I'm Paige Winfield Cunningham with the Washington Times, and we're here in Tampa, Florida for the Republican National Convention. Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin has agreed to join us and chat for a few minutes. Great to have you here, Senator.
Well, Paige, how are you doing?
Doing well. Wanted to ask you about Paul Ryan's speech last night. He was really on the attack on Medicare, especially attacking President Obama, but he notably didn't have much at all to say about his own Medicare plan. How confident do you feel, or do you feel like the Republicans are going to be able to defend that plan?
Oh, I think so. And I guess I wouldn't characterize it as an attack. I mean, when I look at people just laying out the facts and figures, you're just really laying out what somebody else's record is. And I really do think the facts, when it comes to Medicare, are on our side. The extreme position on Medicare is to do nothing. And that's not exactly what President Obama has done. He's done something far worse than nothing. He's taken the Medicare program and really extracted, looted, stolen over $700 billion in the current budget window from Medicare and Medicare Advantage to pay for his very unpopular, very partisan health care law. Now, Paul Ryan doesn't do that. What Paul Ryan does is he recognizes the CBO baseline in all of its different components, okay? And he recognized that baseline, but then he worked out a deal with Democrat Senator Ron Wyden, a proposal to save Medicare for future generations, a proposal that does nothing to affect the benefits or Medicare for current retirees or people 55 and above. Medicare remains the same for those folks. Even for people under 55, as an option, you can maintain current Medicare, or you can move to a more competitive system where you have choice and a premium support system. So the Democrats have demagogued and used Medicare against Republicans as far as I've been watching politics. And so I think it's smart politics for the Romney campaign and Paul Ryan to go on the offensive and just tell the American people the truth. And one thing the conservatives have on our side, we have the facts, we have the figures, we have the truth. Those are pretty powerful weapons.
And yet I know some analysts have pointed out that prices could go up for seniors under the plan. Do you have a good answer for that?
Well, all prices are going up. I mean, to me, that's okay. You know, everything's going up. We have a basic level of inflation. And, of course, healthcare costs have been rising more rapidly than general inflation because we have largely removed the benefit of the free market system and competition out of healthcare. The solution to bending the cost curve down is not to create a whole new entitlement program. I remember President Obama promised if you pass this healthcare law, the cost of a family plan would decrease by $2,500 per year. It's increased $2,500 per year. That's a $5,000 per year broken promise to families. The way you bend the cost curve down is, first of all, cure diseases, but you attack the main drivers of cost. First and foremost, medical malpractice, the cost of defensive medicine. I've seen studies now that put that figure anywhere from a couple $100 billion a year to $750 billion a year, which would be a third of healthcare expenditures. Let's address that issue. Let's bring free market competition into the healthcare system. Let's expand the use of HSAs where people are using money out of their own pocket to make wiser consumer choices. That's the benefit of a free market system. Quick aside, the free market, I've been operating in 31 years. I've been competing in business. It guarantees the lowest possible price and cost and the highest possible level of quality and customer service all at the same time. That's what free market competition does. It's not what government provides.
Being from Wisconsin, also wanted to ask, I know with Romney's selection of Paul Ryan, folks are speculating that this could help him out in the state, and yet it's been some 50 years since something like that has happened. I think back in 1960 when LBJ, being from Texas, helped Kennedy to win that state. So is it really fair to speculate that that could actually happen now?
Absolutely. No. The first thing that happened to Wisconsin from a standpoint of politics is President Obama happened. And his failed policies and his deficit spending happened. Look at November 2010. That's when he passed the health care law and we were bankrupting this country. That's when one citizen legislator stepped up the plate and ran for office, along with Scott Walker. We turned a blue state red. On national issues, it was about the repeal of the health care law and getting our debt and deficit under control, and recognizing that the government, by growing it, only grows our debt. It's the private sector that creates long-term self-sustaining jobs. What's changed in those 2 years? What's happened? Well, Governor Walker actually showed some courage, showed leadership, which is what President Obama fails to provide, and he passed a law. It worked. He survived the recall election in flying colors, and now we're here 2 years later, and we're just that much closer to implementing that very unpopular, very partisan health care law, and we've added $2.5 trillion to our debt. So I don't know. It looks like it's pretty much the same election, only matters are just worse. President Obama's failed policies are that much more apparent. I think Wisconsin will go to Mitt Romney.
On another note, I know that you endorsed one of Todd Akin's opponents in the Missouri race, and you were one of the first to come out and condemn his comments a couple weeks ago about rape. A new poll came out today showing, though, that Akin is really neck and neck with McCaskill. On the possibility that he does end up winning, how will you and the rest of the Republicans in the Senate treat him?
Well, first of all, Todd Akin's comments were offensive and totally indefensible. And I believe that they were just a self-inflicted mortal wound to his campaign. I don't believe he will win. I heard about that poll. I also heard people talk about it as not a particularly reputable poll. Don't believe it. Other polls have his situation far, far worse. So I really hope that Todd Akin recognizes the reality of the situation, that he can't win, and that it is so important for us to run the table. If we're going to repeal the health care law, if we're going to bring fiscal discipline to this country, we need to have a majority in the House, a majority in the Senate, because the Senate hasn't passed a budget in 3 years and we need the presidency, so he needs to put his personal ambition aside, step aside, and let somebody that can actually beat Claire McCaskill win.
But of course there still is a possibility he could win. I mean, are you prepared to welcome him to the Senate
absolutely.
if that happens?
If he wins, great. I mean, this is not about Todd Akin. And I know he's apologized for his comments, and I have no personal animosity toward him. You know, if he stays in the race and wins, absolutely he'll be welcomed. You know, he's been a pretty strong conservative. I mean, this isn't about his record. This is about one statement that I think really disqualifies him in terms of being able to win, and it's just so important that we win that seat. It's so eminently winnable.
Well, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.